Rain lashed against the windows. Thunder rattled the old manor. Inside, Detective Inspector Jameson answered the phone, his face grim.
It was Mr. Edward Blackstone, his voice trembling. A tragedy at Willow Manor, he claimed. A death.
Intrigued and dreading what awaited, Jameson grabbed his coat. The storm mirrored the darkness he was about to enter. The drive to Willow Manor was harrowing. Wind howled like a banshee. Trees bowed low, branches scratching at the car. Reaching the manor, Jameson saw a world of flickering gaslights and tense faces. Edward Blackstone, his face etched with worry, met him at the door.
Inspector Blackstone began, his voice a strained whisper. "Thank God you're here. It's Richard. He's dead."
Blackstone led him through darkened hallways, the air thick with unspoken anxieties. Finally, they reached the study. The scene that awaited was chaos. The study was a whirlwind of disarray. Bookshelves lay in shambles, papers were strewn like confetti. And in the midst of it all, slumped over a mahogany desk, lay Richard Langley, lifeless. His face, frozen in a mask of surprise, was ashen. Jameson immediately noticed the gash on Langley's head, a dark stain blooming on the carpet beneath him.
Jameson surveyed the room, his mind already piecing together the puzzle. A struggle, clearly. But what had transpired within these walls? Who had the motive to silence Richard Langley?
The questions hung heavy in the air, as oppressive as the storm raging outside. Edward Blackstone stood by the door, his face a canvas of grief and shock. His brother-in-law, dead in such a brutal manner. It was a sight that no one should have to witness.
Jameson placed a comforting hand on Blackstone's shoulder, a silent promise to uncover the truth. The investigation was underway.
4 suspects emerged, each harboring their own secrets and motives. There was Edward Blackstone, brother-in-law to the deceased, harboring a long-standing resentment over a business deal gone sour. His grief, Jameson noted, could easily be a mask.
Then there was Emily Cavendish, Richard Langley's beautiful and much younger widow. Her grief seemed genuine, but was it an act to conceal a motive of her own? Her inheritance, perhaps? Or was there another man in her life?
The quiet and unassuming Charles Langley, Richard's cousin and business partner, became a person of interest. Charles, often overlooked, stood to gain control of their shared company upon Richard's death. Had resentment festered, leading to murder?
And lastly, there was Samantha Blackstone, Edward's daughter. Young and headstrong, Samantha had clashed with Richard Langley on numerous occasions. Her quick temper and sharp tongue were well known. Had a heated argument turned deadly?
Jameson scrutinized each suspect, their alibis, and their connections to the deceased. Everyone at Willow Manor, it seemed, had something to hide.
The investigation was a tangled web of half-truths and red herrings. A torn piece of fabric snagged on the deceased's ring pointed towards a struggle. An overheard conversation hinted at blackmail and hidden affairs. Samantha's alibi, though corroborated by a servant, felt flimsy at best. And then there was the cryptic message found clutched in Richard Langley's hand. "The clock strikes 13, it read, scrawled in hurried handwriting. What did it mean? Was it a clue to the killer's identity or a dying man's ramblings?
Jameson, with his keen eye for detail and sharp intellect, began to piece together the puzzle. He observed, questioned, and analyzed, refusing to let any detail go unnoticed. The truth, he knew, lurked beneath the surface of deceit. The storm raged on outside, mirroring the turmoil within Willow Manor. A breakthrough came in the form of a hidden safe, discovered behind a painting in Richard Langley's study. It was a small safe, easily overlooked in the chaos. Inside, nestled amongst old documents and a stack of bills, lay a single sheet of paper. It was a confession penned by Richard Langley himself. The document revealed a long-held family secret, the true parentage of Samantha Blackstone.
Richard, racked with guilt, had confessed to fathering Samantha in his youth, a transgression that had haunted him for years. This revelation shed new light on the relationships within Willow Manor. Samantha, it seemed, was not who she thought she was. Edward, her supposed uncle, was actually her father, and Richard Langley, the man she resented, had carried the burden of this secret for her entire life. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place.
The storm reached its crescendo as Jameson gathered the suspects in the grand hall. He laid out the evidence, his voice calm and steady. The revelation of Richard's confession hung heavy in the air.
I I confronted Richard about the rumors of my parentage. The argument escalated, fueled by years of resentment and a sudden sense of betrayal. In a moment of blind rage, I struck him, not intending to kill, but to hurt, to make him pay for the years of deceit.
As the confession tumbled from her lips, the storm outside seemed to mirror her turmoil. Tears streamed down Samantha's face, a mixture of guilt, anger, and a strange sense of relief. The weight of the secret, the weight of her actions had become unbearable.
With a heavy heart, I placed Samantha under arrest. As she was led away, the storm began to subside. The truth had been revealed. Justice served. But the events at Willow Manor, much like the storm that had raged that night, would leave their mark on all involved.